Usually helps if Mr. Broadcaster turns the microphones up. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Furman Athletics. I am the supposed broadcaster here, Dan Scott, and this, of course, is head coach Bob Richey of the men's basketball program. We're 1 month completed as far as the football season goes, but basketball practice, as we record this, officially starts today, so we get a little bit of a preview of basketball season. How are you?
We're good. We're good. We actually, with class schedules, we had our first team meeting this morning, and we got a couple guys with class tonight, a couple guys with class in the afternoon. So having to condense our period this afternoon on court, down a little bit. So we had a really good team meeting this morning. Guys got a good lift in this morning, and practice plan is done, and we're ready to rock and roll this afternoon. We're actually going to practice these first 3 days at the Well downtown, and trying to get as many looks on that court as we possibly can before we play majority of our games there. So we'll be downtown today, and then downtown tomorrow, and then we actually have an open practice on Wednesday night downtown that we're looking forward to getting some people in the building and, letting them get a peek at the team. Yeah,
media access that day as well. We'll remind folks about that coming up. Having to adjust your practice schedule is kind of a small thing, considering this is going to be a year of adjustments. I know it's exciting, but also a lot of logistics with Timmons Arena being out of the picture for the entire season, and what you're having to do as far as practice arrangements, playing games in other places. What has that process been like?
Well, it's just put a lot more planning on our plate that, really – in the past, our staff does a great job of planning and making sure that we nail down some details, but we had to even take it another step this year and really, this summer draw out a 13-month calendar. And, we've got the calendar pretty set from August to August and knowing, hey, here's what we got to be able to navigate through. And, look, we're going to have to be able to adapt, but what we don't want to do is we never want to hinge on anything for an excuse.
Right.
And so it's going to be different. There's going to be some things that we have to navigate, but at the end of the day, we're going to be able to go out there and put a good product on the floor and, look at it really as an opportunity. We get to go downtown and we get to expose our product to a different population of people that as we move into what I think is going to be one of the best facilities in the country when it's all said and done, maybe we get to expose another layer of people that haven't really been able to see us play, and that they'll be wanting to come see this unbelievable venue that we're going to open up. So, we've got different places to practice. I mean, the schedule's going to come out. We have, majority of the games are going to be at the Well, but we've got 2 other facilities we're going to have to use as well, just because there's some conflict dates. And so, we got 2 games at Bob Jones. We got 1 game that we're going to do. We're doing some mentorship programming through at Legacy with our team, and we're doing a free clinic there October 5th. So we're actually going to play one of the non-1 games there as well, and make that a community game as well. So that's to me, it's, hey, we get to get in these other places. We get to expose more people to our product and our brand, and then we get to come all back into. I mean, it's just, I go in there every week, different people wanting to see it and seeing tours. I mean, the arena is just. It's beyond even what I thought it was going to be, even at this stage. So exciting, different, challenging. Got to be flexible, got to be pliable. But hey, such is life.
I know how you are about going at things full force with your passion. So are you now an architectural and construction design expert?
No, you know what? I mean, that's the good thing about Jason's done an incredible job with that whole process, and Ken Betch, Aaron Mays, and really everybody involved. I mean, Jason's experience going through all this at Villanova, I mean, you can't put a price tag on that. I mean, he's just he went through all this and managed a lot of that at Villanova. So to come here, I mean, this is kind of like round 2 for him.
Right.
And so, he and I had a lot of discussions since he's been here. 5 years ago, he walked in the building. I remember where we were. We were on the main court right there, and it was his first day on the job. And it's just like, hey, this is bad. This is probably him having outside eyes on it, realizing how bad it was. And we had a lot of early discussions of, hey, we need this, we need this, we need this. But really, as it's gotten further down the line, I've been able to do my job, and Aaron Mays has done an incredible job managing that whole project, in terms of dealing with Harper and doing all that. And, Jason and everybody with the design team, it's an incredible when you get to go in there. I mean, everybody's going to be blown away.
Are you able to walk in and now start to visualize what it's going to be?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the suites are framed out. The whole concourse is framed out. You got a lot of sheetrock even up already in terms of down below to where it's all bowled out. You can see where the main goals are going to be. You can see all the different sight lines. They got the full back of house and how everything's going to flow in. I mean, you can get a good picture of how much space is going to be in there. And everybody said the same thing that I've brought in there. Like, they can't believe the structure is in the same footing as the pre-existing structure,
right?
Because it looks much bigger, and it's just laid out better, and the hospitality, the ability to really serve and to take care of our fans. It's really, it's the capacity is just going to be much better, and you want to have a great ball game, you want to go out there and create a great environment. But you also want to have an event. You want to have something that's engaging, and you want to have something that all types of people, from families to students to regular community people to businesses, that everybody comes to enjoy just a night at the arena. And we're definitely going to be able to do that now with the capabilities that the new place is going to have.
Well, all of that is still in the future. Your focus now is this 24-25 basketball campaign that will tip off here in not much more than a month, and again, the schedule literally will be released any minute, so just be patient because it's coming. But this is a team, in a way, am I right in saying it's unlike maybe any other team that you've had because of the mix of guys you have returning, but the number of newcomers onto the roster this year?
Yeah, it's similar to our second team, to be honest with you, in terms of lost a ton of scoring and a ton of production, but then have a decent amount of guys back. I was talking to somebody last night. The big question in our industry right now is how many new guys do you have? Mm-hmm. And we just have 4. Which you say 4, you're like, good gracious, we've had that a lot. From you look back at a lot of signing classes, right? From
the big one, Davis, Sibley, Fowler, Beans.
Yeah, and then the next one was 4, and then the COVID class was 4 with JP and Tyrese and A. Will and Jay Lee. So we've had 4 new ones a lot. It's one of those situations that we're just gonna have. The biggest thing for us is gonna be so many new roles. Mm-hmm. We're gonna have a new point guard. We're gonna have Garrett making a transition. And he's done a great job of it, but similar to what we did with Slaw between year 4 and 5 of getting him more to 4 as opposed to 5 and being able to play bigger at the 5. And so, even guys that are returning, PJ was the 2 last year, well, now he's going to 1. G was the 5 mostly, well, now he's going to 4. So even some of your returners are going to be in bigger roles. Ed, once he gets, back and he's full strength, he's going to slide into what we think he's going to be playing a decent amount of minutes as a redshirt freshman. He's never done that before, right? And so, Ben will be in a similar role. You got guys like Davis. Positionally, he's going to be in a similar position. He's been repping a lot of 3 and 4. And then you got some new guys. I'm leaving some guys out, but you got some new guys that we have to, Nick Anderson and Tom House and, Chuck, all those guys. Mason, the one freshman that's new in the group, they're still needing reps in our stuff and still having to figure it out. So I really like what this team can eventually grow into. I think that our schedule is really challenging, which I like. And, we have some great Greenville home games. We got Auburn that's going to be an exhibition here. We've got Princeton that's going to be here. We've got Tulane that's going to be here. But then we go to Belmont, we go to Kansas, and we go to Harvard, and we go to Florida Gulf Coast. We're gonna be night in, night out challenged, but I think this team, the way they're working, their connectivity, their attitude, what we can continue to build to, we're gonna be a totally different team once we get to league play. And at this deal, that's what's gonna matter.
Visiting with Bob Richey on this week's installment of Inside Furman Athletics. So as practice gets underway officially today, as we're recording this on Monday. What's the ramp up like between now and game one? What do you accomplish? How do you get from where you are today to where you want to be for game one?
So from a macro standpoint, you kind of have 3 periods in our process. You've got the summer, which is 8 weeks. You get 4 hours a week, so that's 32 hours. Our strength coach, John, gets the other 32 hours. So you got 64 hours of development between half basketball and half strength and conditioning. They go home for a few weeks in August. You get them back. You have a 4-week preseason that's really similar to the summer, but you start installing defense and you start doing things like that, but you're still on a 4-4 split.
Mm-hmm.
So today it opens up to 20 hours a week. You go from 8 hours to 20, and then you don't have the split. Like, it doesn't matter where you put them. You just get 20 total. So once you get in this 20-hour week, basically the NCAA gives you 30 days of activity in a 42-day window. So 6 weeks from your first game. So we'll tip 6 weeks from tonight. We get to pick 30 days of activity in that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have to have at least 1 day a week off. So for us, this week, we'll go 3 days. We'll have a little 3-day mini camp here, getting your basics in, really, really getting a lot of your basic installment in. We'll take Thursday off. Then we'll have a good Friday practice, and then we'll actually have our first inter-squad with refs on Saturday. And so you got 3 weeks, really, of the 6. If you take the 6 weeks, take the first 3 weeks, and you're thinking base, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking, get your base in. You're doing 3 inter squads. You're doing a lot of install. You're doing a lot of situational work. You're just getting good at what you're going to do a lot. We'll take fall break and we'll give it to them. That'll be their last break really before Christmas, and so we'll have an inter squad that Friday, I think October 11th. They'll get 12 and 13 off, and then we back at it that next week. Once you get to that week 4. Then now you've got an opponent you're looking at. You're not doing everything about the opponent, but we'll scrimmage Asheville on that 19th, that Saturday at the end of week 4. Then we'll have the Auburn exhibition at the end of week 5, and then we'll have a real opponent at the end of week 6. So you're basically all Furman for 3 weeks. Take a little bit of a halftime right there, and now you at least can start to feel opponents, get some outside film, fine-tune some things, get your personnel right, and then put yourself in the best position you can be to go play that first game.
So as you enter year 8, how has your process changed from year 1?
Man, that's a really good question. I think, reps are critical in my business as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've told a lot of my friends, the interesting thing about sport, and you see this in a lot of assistants as a head coach, is there's really nothing that prepares you in our business to be a head coach, and it's the kids. We had an off weekend this weekend, our last one before practice started. So kids we always try to go to one of the football games a year at Clemson, just so close, and our family loves college football. But it was hotter than it could possibly be out there Saturday for the NC State game. But you're just sitting there watching the game, and I got 30 head coaches all around me.
Right.
All these. You're just listening to it, and they're up 21-0 before you could blink. But man, everybody knows what to run and what not to run, and until you get there, until you get your press conference, and now you're the head coach, and there's not really like these clinics. You can't really prepare for it. The things that I was doing as an assistant coach are totally different than the things that you're doing as a head coach, and so, it's why you look in our industry. Hey, and I'm sure there have been plenty of assistant coaches from Alabama that have gone to coach other places, but there's only one Nick Saban.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't guarantee that just because somebody worked for Nick Saban, he's going to go somewhere and be able to replicate what Nick Saban did.
Right.
And so when you look back on your career, those reps that you get each year, you're kind of fine-tuning, right? And you're taking, hey, we really feel like this worked, but maybe this changed, so let's change this. I think over the years – we've probably gotten more detailed in our selling of this is what today's practice will look like. There's not a long meeting of, man, what about this? What about this? Your segments. This is how much skill. This is defensive breakdown. Here's offensive breakdown. Here's the live play. Here's the situational work. And you're kind of just filling in those shell pieces. Mm-hmm. And then as you practice, you're watching the film and you're making some adjustments and some tinkering. But you just kind of tighten up your process a little bit, and you also realize more and always more. You want to be efficient. You want to make sure you teach well. You want to make sure you're not wearing your team out, but then at the same time, you're making sure that you're in shape. And, I think sometimes you can overdo it a little bit too much early, but you're hoping the more you do it, the more you can become systematic with it. And, we've got a pretty good process in place right now, and just got to trust it and go out there and work every day to become our best.
I laughed a little bit when you were talking about the 20 head coaches around you while you were watching the football game, because David Cobb, color commentator on our football broadcast, tells a story about a conversation he had with Bobby Lamb years ago when Bobby was here, and of course now he's started the football program at Anderson. But he said that there's always a lot of chatter in the headsets among coaches, with guys with opinions about what to do. Let's run this play, let's run this play, let's run this play, until it's late in the ball game and it's 4th and 1 and there is a game-altering decision to be made. He said, and then the headsets get strangely quiet.
It's amazing how that works.
Yeah.
It's but look, here's the bottom line in it. It's why everybody watches it. Like, you want fans, and you want fans to be passionate. And look, if we miss a bunch of threes, then I want fans saying we shoot too many threes. And then that's fine. That's why they come. They want to feel a part of it. We want them to feel a part of it. When we make them, they love that we shot a lot of threes, right? And that's okay too, And I think over time you get more comfortable with that. And but it's just it's one of the somebody told me this when I got in the business. They said, hey, look, one of the reasons it's so hard is because everybody thinks they can do it, and but once you get in it, especially nowadays, I mean the responsibilities that have changed. I mean, just from the time I got the job to the NIL, to the portal, to the moving chairs of the business. I used to feel like we were super busy, and I'm like, man, but we didn't have to do this, we didn't have to do this, and now you just kind of add to it. And so you're always evolving, you're always changing, you're always trying to get better. And but man, I love our staff. Our staff's really functioning at a high capacity right now, and adding another guy with head coaching experience. I mean, just now we got 3 guys on staff that have been head coaches before, and just how much we're accomplishing and how efficient we're being, and the attitude and the spirit of our team. That's going to be the biggest focus. This is going to be a group that has good upside. This is going to be a group that can continue to develop, but we're going to have to understand, like, we have to take it micro by the day and just go out there and just try to get better every single day, because we're going to be growing into it. And you can't take that much production off the floor, ask guys to go replace that production and expect them just to jump right in. There's going to be some things that we're going to have to grow into, but it's but where this team can eventually get, I think we have a huge upside.
And then I guess the trick in all of this is, and you and I have had this conversation before, in the chaos that is college athletics now, and you reference it, NIL and transfer portal and all of this other stuff. For you and this program to be successful, you have to be true to your identity. You can't be somebody else, or you can't do it like other people do. There's a Furman way to do things that you've established, and if you get away from that identity, you're not being true to yourself and giving yourself the best chance to succeed.
There's no question. I mean, we have to coach what we know, and we have to be who we are. And I'm not saying the way we do it's the only way. It's the only way we know. And for me, I mean, I've been pretty out loud about this. I chose to do this at a young age because I wanted to have impact and I wanted to have purpose. And one thing I think in life that's true is, people always ask me, what about the pressure? I think there's a correlation between your purpose and your pressure, and the more that I can focus on what our purpose is, and we can really focus on growing people, right, building program, doing something that matters, giving these players launching pads into life and teaching them what life's about, but at the same time understanding that, hey, there's correlation to winning and all that. The less that we got to sit here and worry about, hey, what's going to happen here and what happens here and, the pressure of this. Like, don't worry about that. Like, live out your purpose, focus on that, and go do that. And, we always have a staff retreat. And, this year we typically have a theme. And, I was the week before the staff retreat, I was putting all, the finishing touches on it. And, I kind of came up with this idea that I was like, I had it down to 3 or 4 things. I was like, I like this. Well, no, let's do this. And I was going back and forth. And all of a sudden, I just kind of had this visual in my mind of, hey, we got to press ahead. Like, we can't worry about what everybody's saying about the business. Like, clearly it's affected us, right? Like, I mean, we had, I mean, not going into all details and specifics, everybody that's listening kind of knows. I mean, your high majors are going to buy players from you. That's what they're going to do, right? And then this thing is moving all around, and hey, they're going to have this much. And I mean, I talked to an SEC coach last week. He told me he had $4 million for his roster this year, and he's not top half of the SEC. Okay, so well, we can sit around and say, hey, we don't like this, but this is where it's going. So we have to create this environment that we can retain, right? So how are we going to do that? We got to find people that want to be here. We got to find people that see the value in this, and we got to find, hey, why did Mike stay? Why did Jalen Slauson stay? What made those guys stay? And then we got to figure out what we're saying yes to, and we got to stay true to that. And so for the retreat, I said, hey, I just wrote down, let's ride. In the Paladin and thinking like right here on the football stadium, that statue, like, hey, let's get on the horse and let's go. All right, whatever we're going to do, like, let's go do it. And so we just came a little bit of a corny, acrostic, but I think there's power in messaging. But the R was response. Like, we have a response to make, not just from last season, okay, the things that, and I don't care about the winning and the losing. I do, okay, I shouldn't say I don't care about it. 17 wins is still a winning season, but I didn't like what it looked like. I didn't like what our team appeared on film. I didn't think it looked like we played for one another. I didn't think it looked like we upheld the values that got us here. And so we've got to respond to that. We got to respond to what everybody's saying this business is about, that, hey, you can't have program anymore, that it's transactional. I think that's a lazy lie. And we need to respond in a way that, hey, we are going to stick to the fundamentals that I think have always won. And you know what? I think what's won before is going to win in the future. And I think it's same as always, right? People are going to win. Process is going to win. Do you have a development in place that you can win? The I, this word, I used a lot this summer with our team. They thought it was funny, but after a while we started saying it so much, so I kind of fit it right in there. But intrepidity is an interesting word, but it's a word that talks about, basically the combination of courage and the ability to be resolute and to be able to understand that, hey, things are going to be hard, but we want to have a spirit of intrepidity. Like, we want to be able to go into it with our head up and our shoulders back and, like, saying, hey, look, we can't bend and break here. And last year when you look at our team, we didn't finish. I mean, at the end of the day, like, you want to go back and look at the last 2 years of a team that put themselves in the history books and a team that only won 17 games. The difference is the ability for those two teams to finish. There wasn't as much that separated the two teams as people think. You think about Princeton, didn't finish, up 10, they go 1-3-1 zone, we didn't finish. You think about at Tulane, didn't finish, right? You think about at Birmingham, up 5 with 42 seconds to go, didn't finish. Anderson here, didn't finish. Okay, that's 21 wins right there. And if you win at Birmingham, I'm telling you, you got a chance to win this thing. And you're right in the mix of it, and then you go win the tournament, see what happens. Like, you're talking about the separation of being able to finish, right, and have that idea of intrepidity. So we talked a lot about that. The D, which is what we're talking about, double down. Like, double down on the things that have always won. Double down on culture. Double down on growing people. Double down on making sure that our culture aligns with what Furman stands for. And then the E, expect to win. Like this isn't Sunday school now, right? Like, we want to help people grow, and we want to go out there and we want to make sure that, we're getting the right people here. But this isn't we want to do this because we feel like, hey, the differences of what we align to, if we do them correctly, like, this is one before, and if it's one before, it can win again. And I don't care what's changing out there. Our number one deal is we're going to have to retain. We're going to have to grow them. We're going to have to develop them. We're going to have to get them here. And then we got to have people that are saying, hey, this is worth staying for. And so that's been the whole team meeting this morning. That's how we finished. Let's ride. Like we've got to understand those four things in conjunction of what we want this to look like and how we've got to go ahead. Are there going to be bumps in the road? Absolutely. Are we still having to evolve a little bit? Absolutely. Are we still having to figure out what this is all going to look like? For sure. But can we get outside of who we are? I'm going to tell you, that's going to be a recipe for a decline. You see it in business all the time. Mm-hmm. As we adapt and we learn and we change with the changes that are going on, we have to stay true to who we are. And over time, we'll be in a position to sustain this and to continue to win.
So when can fans expect to be able to purchase the Let's Ride T-shirts?
You know what? It might be something we look at. You know, our marketing team is doing a really good job. But yeah, it's I think it's funny how it all came together, right? And you know, just thinking about it, literally was this statue out here. I mean, I was thinking about that, like, hey, the Paladins, let's get on this thing, let's start riding, let's go.
So as we get into the home stretch here, we've talked about the practice starting today. Again, we're recording this on Monday, so Wednesday is the open practice and the media availability at the Well. When's that going to start? What can fans expect to see?
Yeah, so we're going to basically, I think, you know, Drew Ingraham will have a better idea of exactly the programming and all that from what they're going to put on, but we'll start practice at 4, but a lot of that will be, you know, the skill and the breakdowns that fans don't like to see quite as much. So I think they'll probably open doors around 4:30. You know, there'll be some activity going on down on the court. And then at 5 is when we're going to have a lot of more live play, and, you know, you'll be able to see the team get up and down a little bit more and get a good little peek of it. But, you know, they're going to be there, you know, sign autographs afterwards, posters, you know, things like that. And I'll make a few remarks to the team as well, and then I'm sure Jason and Drew will have some updates on some different things. So, you know, I don't know all the details of it, but I know Drew and his team, you know, are putting together a really, really good plan to give the fans an opportunity to get inside the Well, to just see, you know, what all we have going on, what our new players are doing, you know, get a chance to see the guys get up and down the court a little bit and just make it a great night.
New players, new coaches on staff, same expectations.
That's right. I mean, listen, you don't want to do anything in life without expectations.
Right.
You know, I mean, that's it's no reward in that. And so we want to make sure that we have expectations. We know we got a big task ahead. We know what we lost. You know, we know the production that we lost, and you know, but we know we have some guys that are eager and that are working really hard, that want to go out there and continue to get better and to evolve and, you know, to develop. And so, you know, it's going to be a journey. It's going to be a process. Our guys, I mean, our new strength coach, he's done a tremendous job. I mean, Cooper weighed in, you know, at his personal high by far the other day. I think he's close to 221 now, so he's put on some size, and he's gotten a lot better. And, you know, I mean, I can go down the line of just guys that have continued to make some good strides. But, you know, we really wanted to use this summer to get our connectivity better, to get closer, you know, to get outside of the cliques and to get as one. And then this September, it's been about, okay, now we did a great job there. Now can we lead? And so really our leadership council this year is Garrett, Tyrese, PJ, and Ben, and just really me. You know, we meet once a week and just pushing those guys to lead better and making sure that we have a true, you know, leadership of like, hey, this is the culture, these are core values, and we want to stay to it. And, you know, we've had Caleb Reichert has been with us as a student manager, and he's kind of taken on a role. He wants to get in analytics, so he's been more of a student assistant this year, but it was really interesting. This will be good to finish with. But I told him at the staff retreat, I said, look, you're going to have 30 minutes to go through, and I want you to, whatever algorithms and whatever formulas you want to come up with, like, I want you to boil down all the things that we track, and I want you to try to figure out, like, through your regressions and your analysis, what actually affecting winning and losing last year. And so the night before he was going to present, he sent me a bunch of stuff, and he said, hey, Coach, you know, this is pretty amazing, but I've run all these things, and basically at the end of the day, for last year's team, and it can be different team to team, 3 things that we statted and tracked really impacted winning and losing, to where you can see in the analysis that this changed winning and losing. He said, 1 was pass count. Well, if you go in our locker room, you see 3 things above the wall there that have been the 3 values of our basketball values since I got the job. Be a great teammate, fly around on D, move and value the ball on O. Okay? So raw passes. Just move it. The more we pass it, the more we won. Right? Don't hold it. Okay? Number 2, deflections. He said, Coach, when it's this number, we won. When it was below this number, it was 50-50. When it got to this number, we definitely weren't winning. Well, fly around on D. He said, 3rd, defensive rebounds. Well, to be a great defensive rebounding team, you got to hit. That's sacrificial, right? The guards got to rebound down, okay? That's sacrificial, right? You got to have a little bit of a grit and nastiness to you to finish the possession. Well, hey, what else could you do to be a great teammate besides being willing to go in there and get a defensive rebound? And so we're just sitting there. We're like, hey, look at how this aligns with the values on the wall to what you're saying. great defensive rebound. Well, that's great teammates. Moving the ball, hey, passes. Flying around D, deflections. And so we've really been able to kind of slow down the speed up in some of our analytics and, really trying to focus in on a couple things and get our guys back to doing those things. And, look, I mean, I've watched it again this offseason. We somehow or another scrapped out 17 wins because at times we look like a really good team, and then sometimes we look like a really fragile team. And, but when you look at all those games where we didn't perform well, low deflections, low pass counts, not great on the boards. And so it's about, can we be consistent and can we finish and can we stick to the values? So we're excited, and obviously I can't say a lot about it, but recruiting this fall has been tremendous. Our staff's done an incredible job there. The arena's definitely had a little bit of an impact, and our workouts have been great. Our energy's been great, and as I've always said, two things in life you can control: your attitude and your effort. And we're going to work every day to control those two things and see if we can get to the best this group can be.
I'd be remiss if I did not ask you one more thing before we get out of here, and we're about to wrap it up now, I promise. But I have been around a long time, and I don't know that I have ever seen such an overall positive reaction for an addition on the coaching staff, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but in the grand scheme of things, in your coaching staff rankings, the low man on the totem pole, so to speak, Rhett Lister's addition to your staff has created more buzz on this campus than I can remember anything like that in a long time.
Well, he wore the jersey. He wore the jersey on, one of the best teams in school history. Mm-hmm. And he bleeds purple. He knows what wins. And I'm going to tell you this, he just cares. I mean, it's just amazing when you can get people that care and that are willing to do what it takes. And, he's the amount of problems he solved. I mean, he's just texting me right here, as we're talking about different things. I mean, he's got, I'm looking at my phone and it's Rhett, myself, with an administrator trying to solve something. It's just, he has an unbelievable ability at such a young age to be a little bit ahead of where we need to be at, so that we can troubleshoot and really have foreshadow before we get to the problem. And man, I tell you what, I mean, what an addition he's been. I mean, he's made my life easier. He's been an incredible addition. And I think that last year was the only year we didn't have a former player on staff, and I regret that. Mm-hmm. We've always had a person that wore the jersey on staff, and I think in time we're going to have multiples. I think in time we're going to have 2, maybe 3 guys that have worn the jersey on the staff in time. I mean, that's the ultimate vision of the program. But, I'll never do that again. I'll never have a staff without somebody that didn't wear the jersey, because it's just, you can't replace that. You can't. When they speak up, it matters. And, and when they're on campus, people know them. And we're very thankful he's here. The whole new staff, I mean, they've done a tremendous job. And everybody, if you get out there Wednesday, you'll see it. I mean, the energy on the court is tremendous.
I wish you'd get excited and quit holding back.
I'm pumped, man. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to rock. I tell you this, you guys will get a kick out of this. But my dad was a doctor, so when we got sick, he usually just told us to go to bed, But I didn't have like well checks and all that. I mean, it's just, hey, don't feel good, Dad, give you something. So I got older and didn't have a routine of going to the doctor. And now I'm 41, and I've kind of, one of my best friends, Drew Goldsmith, is a doctor in town, and he's been kind of on me and my mom, like, hey, you need to go, like, you're at that age, like, go do a physical. And so I went last week. I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna make myself do it. And man, I was convinced, Dan. I was like, man, my numbers are gonna be terrible. Like, bet my cholesterol's high, my blood pressure's gonna be high, and I've got all these thoughts in my head. Well, then I get the blood work back, and my stuff looks better now than it did a year ago. I had to do some other blood work for some insurance stuff last year, but my numbers are actually better. Mm-hmm. And it was just one of those reminders for me of like, man, you know what? Like, all this crazy stuff and all these changes, it's just all the things that we think we need to chase and these things like this. Like, at the end of the day, man, trust your faith, take care of yourself, can't pour anything out of an empty cup, and just go give it the best shot you can. And, our team is going to be fired up. We're gonna play, like, I want a team that's energetic, right? And if I want that, I've got to lead that way. And so, look, doctor said I'm good. Like, guys are ready to practice. We're ready to rock and roll today. And hey, let's go kick this thing off. Let's have a great year.
Yeah, you left that one thing. Don't be a hypochondriac.
There
right?
you go. There you go. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Well, we're looking forward to getting the season tipped off in 6 weeks from today. And again, on Wednesday, we're releasing this on Monday afternoon. On Wednesday, the open practice at the Well downtown. Doors are open 4:30-ish, and the fans will be able to see some good basketball. A preview of this Furman team for 24-25. Bob, as always, thank you so much.
Thank you.
That is Bob Richey. We will be back next week with another edition of Inside Furman Athletics. Until then, I'm Dan Scott. God bless you. So long, everybody.